Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to a brand new video. For today's video, I figured we'd do something a little bit fun because I feel like ranting and I'm sure y'all would love to see that. So I'm going to be taking the political compass test, which is, in my opinion, one of the dumbest tests in the world. I hate it, and you're going to see why I hate it. It's one of those things, I have a love-hate relationship with it because it's awful, it's trash, but it's fun to take. So you're going to see why I hate it here in a second. Let's get into it. First question. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interest of transnational corporations. This gets into why I hate this test, because it gives you these questions, many of which just kind of assume something's going to happen. I don't believe that economic globalization is inevitable at all, and so I just naturally reject the premise of this question. But they put you in the corner of, if it is, what you gonna do about it? So if it's inevitable, should it primarily serve the humanity or transnational corporations? Humanity. I'm gonna put agree. And for those of you that have never seen this test, the only four options are strongly disagree, disagree, agree, or strongly agree. There's no middle ground. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Strongly agree. Now, that does not mean that I'd always support the government. I don't support the government right now, but I support America as just America because I love America. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Strongly disagree. Our race... I hate this test. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Strongly disagree. There's only one race, the human race. I don't care what anybody says. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That one's interesting. I don't know, because on one hand, like, in many ways it is useful to team up with people that are not necessarily always friendly towards you. Like, take the example of Jerry Falwell Sr. When he started the Moral Majority, he teamed up with Muslims and Mormons and Catholics and people that the Protestant church was like, what is he doing? But it served well in the end. But at the same time, like, at that point, would you just not be friends? Even if it's just for that season? I guess I'll put agree. I'm not sure. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. International law is fake, so therefore strongly agree. International law is so stupid, I hate it. The UN and all this junk. I don't support the idea of like these international governing organizations that are going to tell us how to live and think. And international law is stupid. Yes, absolutely strongly agree. Anything that defies international law is probably justified, with very few exceptions. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I'm going to put strongly disagree on that, because I think that entertainment and information have always been fused in a way. I believe that, you know, looking back throughout history, no matter what it is, a good way to inform people was to entertain people. Like, if you go and read, like, the works of Shakespeare or like Homer's Iliad or something, they're entertaining, yes, but they also like inform you. Like, they have a message to them. Like the Bible, many parts of the Bible are pretty entertaining, but they also have messages. And there's not a worrying fusion now, so I strongly disagree. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. This is the Marxist theory of thought. I strongly disagree. Most of the wars that you've seen fought through human history were because of nationality, not because of class. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I'm just going to put agree, because I'm not very intelligent on this issue, so I don't know, but I'm gonna put agree for now. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I'm gonna put agree, because I don't think that corporations are necessarily like can't be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment. That being said, they're going to do what's in their best interest first in terms of the bottom line and making money. And so I don't think that like the EPA should exist, but I do think that some a little bit of regulation on business is pretty good for the environment. Now, Green New Deal, no, none of that crap, but a tiny bit's not bad. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. On the surface, it sounds like it. However, this was the whole Karl Marx theory of taking from those that have by force if necessary and giving to those that don't. And so I strongly disagree with this statement because it is literally communism. The freer the market, the freer the people. I strongly agree with that. Now there's a little bit of exception to that. Like there are some areas that probably could be regulated more. There's some areas where regulation is necessary. Let me put it that way. But I don't think that over-regulating the market is a solution in any scenario. And so just as a general principle, the freer the market, the freer the people, I would strongly agree with that. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Strongly disagree. It's a great reflection on our society that we have readily available drinking water that isn't going to kill you. Like, do you want people to go back to digging wells that are unsafe or walking for a couple miles to a river to get water and having to purify it yourself and do all this? No. Having drinking water that's bottled, easily accessible, yes, that's a great thing. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree. What else are you going to do with it? Let the government give it out? That's a horrible idea. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I don't like the way that question's worded. I'm going to put disagree only because I slightly disagree. On one hand, if you're literally doing nothing and you're just push button, no, that's kind of dumb, but I don't know. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I strongly agree with this, and I also would like to emphasize the word sometimes. There is room for free trade, and there is room for protectionism. I don't like this dynamic that's been kind of created to where you're either full swing protectionist or full swing free trade. This is one of those issues where we can meet in the middle. I think that there should be high tariffs on a country like China that is literal garbage, and not saying that the Chinese people are garbage, but that, their government is very much so garbage, versus, I don't know, some random other country. Some countries, yeah, we should have a free trade relationship, but some we shouldn't. I don't think that should be controversial. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I'd agree with that. The rich are too highly taxed. I strongly agree with that, and some of y'all are going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but if you actually look at how much the distribution of taxes, the wealthiest people in America pay for literally everything. Literally everything. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I'd strongly agree with that. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I don't know what they mean by... I'm going to put disagree because I don't know what they mean by mislead. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I strongly agree with that. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree. All authority should be questioned. I'm going to put disagree on that. There's some authority that should be questioned, but not all. God's authority should never be questioned because he's literally God. Now, that I'm not saying that you can't ask questions about God or that you can't question God. Asking questions and questioning things is what has led me to have as deep of a faith as I do. But I don't think that all authority should be questioned. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Agree from a legal standpoint. Obviously, Jesus said, if your brother strikes you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. Like, that's the religious side of it. That's VMO, but from a just purely legal perspective, an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, the law should be fairly judged. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I'm gonna put agree, but only slightly, because I do think that there's a place for culture in our society, and I think that theaters and museums are cool. I get the premise of the idea. Actually, I'm gonna put disagree on this one. Just slightly disagree, but disagree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I'm gonna put disagree because I think that you shouldn't. Well, okay. Looking at it from this perspective, if you're already enrolled in, actually, yeah, I'm gonna put strongly disagree on this one, because if you look at it from the perspective of if it's the school making attendance compulsory for students that are already enrolled in that school, yes, they should come to class. Now, obviously, I don't think that every child should be mandated to go to a government-run public school. I believe in homeschooling. I hope to be able to homeschool my kids. I think private school and charter schools are good options. But if you're a school and you're expecting X number of kids to come, they should come. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Strongly disagree. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I'm gonna put agree with a catch, because I don't think that physical discipline is necessarily always the best. There's a place for it. There is a place for it, but it's not the best. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Agree, but that doesn't mean that they should necessarily. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I'm gonna put I guess I slightly agree with that, but I don't like it. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generations to find jobs. Yeah, agree. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Also strongly disagree. That is definitely not the most important thing. The most important thing for a child to learn is to be moral, to be a good person, to be a good citizen, to know God. There are no savage and civilized peoples, there are only different cultures. Strongly disagree. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I strongly agree with that. It's a biblical command. Those that don't work should not eat. If you are genuinely injured, or you don't have the ability to work, that's one thing. And if you are not in work, but you're trying to find work, that's also one thing. But if you're just sitting on your butt, lazy, that's a totally different thing. You should not expect society's support if you're just being lazy. When you are troubled, it is better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I strongly no. Stop. That's stupid. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I disagree with that. I'm technically a first-generation immigrant. I'm fully integrated. Say what you want. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I slightly agree with that one. Sorry, PBS. George, you're out. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I'd agree with that. Actually, I'm going to strongly agree with that. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Strongly disagree. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I strongly disagree with that. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly agree, and I want to explain this one because my opinion is a little bit... Some people are completely on board with what I think, and some people kind of question it. My basic perspective is that, like, if you're somebody like Ted Bundy that goes on these mass killing sprees, like if you're like a bad serial killer or like a mass shooter, not in the sense of a mass shooter of shoot 2 people, they're injured, nobody died, haha, go to prison, die. But like you shoot up like the dude that shot up the school in Texas and killed 19 kids, like people like that definitely deserve the death penalty. If you like walk in on your wife cheating on you and in the heat of the moment kill them, that's not a death penalty offense. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I strongly agree. I don't like the way that question is worded, but basically, for those that might not understand, it's basically talking about the idea of hierarchy, and hierarchy's natural. It's just a natural part of society. Like, humans are going to structure themselves in a way in which there's a hierarchy, and other animals do it too. Animals do it too. Humans are not the only ones that do it. It's found all throughout the animal kingdom, and it's a reflection of heaven. There's a clear hierarchy in heaven. You've got God, you've got the angels, you've got us. Well, actually, are we going to be above the angels? I don't know. This isn't a theological question right now, but there's hierarchy in heaven. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I strongly agree with that, but I don't know why this question is on here. I genuinely do not understand the purpose of this question. I don't know. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. It depends on the context. I'm gonna put agree, but I don't fully agree with that. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. I do agree with that. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer or the artist. I disagree with that. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. So, I'm what they call in theology a complementarian. I believe that men and women are created equally, and we are equal in worth and value, but God has assigned us different roles in life and society. And like my mom grew up, when I was growing up, my mom had a job. She was a nurse. She did a wonderful job raising me. She did a wonderful job keeping things together, but she had a career. She was a nurse. That being said, just from a standpoint of how God created us, if you're a woman, I'm not trying, like, this is, for some of those feminist types out there, this might sound sexist, it's not. Your first duty is to your home, and that is a wonderful thing. Like, that's a beautiful thing. I don't understand why that's being shunned so much in society right now. Like, being the person to raising kids is a incredibly hard job and worthy of all kinds of respect, and I don't understand why people see it as such a burden. It should be seen as a wonderful thing that you are gifted the opportunity to make your home and raise your kids and raise them right. So yeah, if you want to have a job, you can, but your first duty is to your family. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I guess, agree, I don't know. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Disagree. I hate this question. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. Oh my gosh, you're such a Sagittarian or whatever the frick it is. I hate astrology so much. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly agree. And anyone that tries to fight me on that, they're going to say that, like, oh, but they're a moral atheist. Yeah, because they grew up in a society that is extremely influenced by Christian morals. So therefore, by definition, they are moral. By definition, they are religious. So strongly agree. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly agree, and also get rid of Social Security. Just do it already. It was a bad idea from the beginning. Some people are naturally unlucky. God is sovereign, so I'm going to put disagree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I'm going to put agree because it is important to me, because I'm probably going, well, one, I'm going to homeschool my kids probably, hopefully, and they're going to learn religious values, and that's important. But also, whose religious values, I guess, is a good question. I'm going to put agree, but only because of my personal perspective on like what I'm going to do with my kids. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Change it to always. Strongly agree. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I'm going to put disagree, because I think if there's 100 kids and 100 straight families and one same-sex couple trying to adopt those 100 kids, the straight families, the heterosexual families should be prioritized, because there are mounds and mounds and mounds of statistical data that show that having a mother and a father in the home is the best for the child. Now, if there was no one else to adopt the kid, then yeah, give the gay couple a child, sure. But if there are 100 straight couples and 100 kids and one gay couple, they're excluded. I'm sorry. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly disagree. John Doyle did a great 2-hour dissertation on the very, very negative effects of pornography. I'll link it in the description or wherever the link things go. Wonderful video. Please go watch it. John is a great dude, and dude, if you're watching, I love your stuff. Please come on my podcast. Also, if you have not subscribed to the Jesse Hughes Show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are found, you should go do that right now. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. The first time I saw this question, I said no, because I thought, well, abuse, if there's abuse going on, then that is the business of the state. But it says consenting, and I don't think you can consent to abuse, so I guess I'll put agree, but I don't know. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I'd agree with that. The only reason I'd say agree and not strongly agree is because I do think that sin is natural. Like, our natural state is sin, and homosexuality is a sin. Put the two together. Yeah. But there's not like a gay gene or anything like that. Like, science has tried to discover the great gay gene and never has. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I'd agree with that for the most part. Let's see where I stand. So, also, just to kind of explain the compass a little bit, it's built in the 4 quadrants: authoritarian right, which is typically associated with conservatism; libertarian right, libertarians; libertarian left, which is more of your kind of socialist-ish kind of region, like think Bernie Sanders and AOC; and then the authoritarian left, which are like your commies. I've taken this test several times. I think I'm gonna be in the blue, probably. Oh, that's new. They added countries. Interesting. It used to be people. And that's changed since last time. So, yeah. Economic left/economic right by 3.88 points, and then socially authoritarian by 1.79 points. I've moved right on economics a little bit since last time I've taken this. That's interesting. Not what I expected, honestly. I expected to be a little bit more towards the center on the economic issues, but hey. So, that's where I am. Where are you at on the political compass? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss one of my videos. I promise I'm gonna try to upload more. I promise. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have an idea or suggestion for my next video, drop it down below. I'm always taking suggestions. And God loves you, and so do I. Have a good day.